Brought to you by WikiVD Documentaries. Don Bradman. Sir Donald George Bradman, AC, often referred to as the Don, was an Australian cricketer, widely acknowledged as the greatest batsman of all time. Bradman's career Test batting average of 99.94 is often cited as the greatest achievement by any sportsman in any major sport. The story that the young Bradman practised alone with a cricket stump and a golf ball is part of Australian folklore. Bradman's meteoric rise from bush cricket to the Australian Test team took just over 2 years. Before his 22nd birthday, he had set many records for top scoring, some of which still stand, and became Australia's sporting idol at the height of the Great Depression. During a 20-year playing career, Bradman consistently scored at a level that made him, in the words of former Australia captain Bill Woodfull, worth 3 batsmen to Australia. A controversial set of tactics, known as Bodyline, was specifically devised by the England team to curb his scoring. As a captain and administrator, Bradman was committed to attacking, entertaining cricket. He drew spectators in record numbers. He hated the constant adulation, however, and it affected how he dealt with others. The focus of attention on his individual performances strained relationships with some teammates, administrators and journalists, who thought him aloof and wary. Following an enforced hiatus due to the Second World War, he made a dramatic comeback, captaining an Australian team known as the Invincibles, on a record-breaking unbeaten tour of England. A complex, highly driven man, not given to close personal relationships, Bradman retained a preeminent position in the game by acting as an administrator, selector and writer for 3 decades following his retirement. Even after he became reclusive in his declining years, his opinion was highly sought, and his status as a national icon was still recognized. More than 50 years after his retirement as a Test player, in 2001, Prime Minister John Howard of Australia called him the greatest living Australian. Bradman's image has appeared on postage stamps and coins, and a museum dedicated to his life was opened while he was still living. On the centenary of his birth, the 27th of August 2008, the Royal Australian Mint issued a $5 commemorative gold coin with Bradman's image. In 2009, he was inducted into the ICC Cricket Hall of Fame. Early years. Donald George Bradman was the youngest son of George and Emily Bradman, and was born on the 27th of August 1908 at Cootamundra, New South Wales. He had a brother, Victor, and 3 sisters, Islet, Lillian and Elizabeth May. One of his great-grandfathers was one of the first Italians to migrate to Australia in 1826. Bradman's parents lived in the hamlet of Yo-Yo, near Stockton, Bengal. His mother Emily gave birth to him at the Cootamundra home of Granny Schultz, a midwife. That house is now the Bradman Birthplace Museum. Emily had hailed from Mittagong in the NSW Southern Highlands, and in 1911, when Don Bradman was about 2.5 years old, his parents decided to relocate to Bowral, close to Mittagong, to be closer to Emily's family and friends, as life at Yo-Yo was proving difficult. Bradman practised batting incessantly during his youth. He invented his own solo cricket game, using a cricket stump for a bat, and a golf ball. A water tank, mounted on a curved brick stand, stood on a paved area behind the family home. When hit into the curved brick facing of the stand, the ball rebounded at high speed and varying angles, and Bradman would attempt to hit it again. This form of practice developed his timing and reactions to a high degree. In more formal cricket, He hit his first century at the age of 12, with an undefeated 115 playing for Bowral Public School against Mittagong High School. Bush cricketer. In 1920-21, Bradman acted as scorer for the local Bowral team, captained by his uncle George Bradman. In October 1920, he filled in when the team was one man short, scoring 37 not out and 29 not out on debut. During the season, Bradman's father took him to the Sydney cricket ground to watch the 5th Ashes Test match. On that day, Bradman formed an ambition. "I shall never be satisfied," he told his father, "until I play on this ground." Bradman left school in 1922 and went to work for a local real estate agent who encouraged his sporting pursuits by giving him time off when necessary. He gave up cricket in favour of tennis for 2 years, but resumed playing cricket in 1925-26. Bradman became a regular selection for the Bowral team. Several outstanding performances earned him the attention of the Sydney daily press. Competing on matting over concrete pitches, Bowral played other rural towns in the Berrima District competition. Against Wingello, a team that included the future Test bowler Bill O'Reilly, Bradman made 234. In the competition final against Moss Vale, which extended over 5 consecutive Saturdays, Bradman scored 320 not out. During the following Australian winter, an ageing Australian team lost the Ashes in England, and a number of Test players retired. The New South Wales Cricket Association began a hunt for new talent. Mindful of Bradman's big scores for Bowral, the association wrote to him, requesting his attendance at a practice session in Sydney. He was subsequently chosen for the Country Week tournaments at both cricket and tennis, to be played during separate weeks. His boss presented him with an ultimatum: he could have only 1 week away from work, and therefore had to choose between the two sports. He chose cricket. Bradman's performances during Country Week resulted in an invitation to play grade cricket in Sydney for St George in the 1926-27 season. He scored 110 on his debut, making his first century on a turf wicket. On the 1st of January 1927, he turned out for the NSW second team. For the remainder of the season, Bradman travelled from Bowral to Sydney every Saturday to play for St George. Thank you for watching. Brought to you by WikiVD Documentaries.